Señor le bendiga, hermano.
Amen.
Amen.
This has been a long time coming y es bien difícil para mí hablar de estas experiencias. So, les pido que sean pacientes, que break down. Si empiezo a llorar, no se preocupen, estoy bien. No estoy llorando porque fue difícil lo que me pasó, aunque sí fue difícil, pero esa no es la razón. La razón que yo lloro, the reason I cry is because of God's mercy and God's grace. That's why I cry. So, ever since this happened to me, what I'm going to speak about happened between March 2004 to April 2005. And I should say April 2004 to March 2005. But you can tell it was a long time ago. And this is how long it's taken for me to let it out there. So this is the first time I speak from start to finish. I've tried before several times. But like I said, I've become too emotional. I can't talk about it. But I've been asking God for strength. And I believe I'm going to get it all out there today.
Amen.
If y'all would turn with me to Psalms 91. Psalms 91 is a very, very famous verse, especially in the military. It's not just me, but many soldiers have laid back to this. It's a powerful message, and it's taken life in my life. This word literally took life. I'm going to pray first. Father God, thank you for being in this place in such a mighty way. Father, I ask that every word that comes out of my mouth gives you praise. I ask that every word gives you honor. Foremost, I ask that every word gives you glory. Father, I just ask that the same way that you let me know that you were with me in combat, Lord, I ask that you let everyone here who hears me know that you are with them in every situation they may be going through. Nothing's too small, nothing's too big. Lord, I just thank you for your grace, your mercy, your power, your love. And I just pray, Lord, that I'm able to convey that today. I ask for strength, Lord. And I just thank you, Lord. Thank you for everything you're going to do today.
Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Aleluya. Sí, Señor.
Okay, Psalms 91. ¿Todo lo tienen?
Amén.
Praise God. I'm going to read it in English. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. And He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, for the plague that destroys, at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord, who is my refuge, then no harm will befall you. No disaster will come near your tent, for He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue Him. I will protect Him, for He acknowledges my name. He will call upon me, and I will answer Him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Amen.
Amen.
This word was given to me in a handkerchief because in Iraq, there's a lot of dust in the air, and soldiers used to put bandanas around their face. So somebody gave me a handkerchief so I can wrap it around my face and protect myself. And I noticed what that handkerchief had imprinted on it. It was desert camouflage in black print, and it had Psalms 91 on it. And when I read it, it touched me right away. And I took this handkerchief and I folded it in fours, and I put it inside my bulletproof vest. My bulletproof vest had 1 inch thick plate in the front, pure steel, and one in the back. So that's like 2 inches of protection right there, pure steel. And I knew that if a round or a shrapnel were to penetrate my shield, it would not penetrate that handkerchief. So I stuck that handkerchief inside, right where my heart plate goes. And I don't know where the faith came from. I just know I had conviction that it would not penetrate my heart. Before we left, my sergeant, NCO, the high-ranking officers, they gathered us all in a room, not much bigger than this. We all sat down, the whole company, and they briefed us on everything that we were about to experience and everything that we were about to see. And they know because the war had been going on for a little bit, and they knew the statistics. They knew that companies going in were coming back with fatalities. It's just the way it is. They go, not all come back. And they knew the situation we were stepping into and all the missions we had to undergo. We had to rebuild. So they sat us down in a room like this. They told us, look to your left and look to your right. So I'm looking to my left, looking to my right, buddies of mine, people I went to basic with, close friends. The relationship between soldiers is unlike anything I've experienced. I mean, we're very close. And they said, I hope you took a really good look, because unfortunately, not all of you are coming back. There will be white crosses on some of those chairs next to you. But there was somebody in a much higher authority saying something different. He heard those words, and he knew what was to come. And he said, well, I have words for you, because I'm needing to know God has the last word. No matter how much we think we know. And he said, I am that I am.
Amen.
Nothing is impossible for God. Let me tell you right now, no matter what your situation is. I'm going to just go ahead and get right into it and not take any more of your time. But if you don't mind, go ahead and play what we prepared as far as the introduction. And everything you're going to see is going to be illustrations that we drew. And my little brother, with his abilities in the computer, enhanced. And my father is art director. It's been a family project putting this together, let me tell you. Many hours have come into this, but I just want you to know that it's all for God's glory, not for me. It's all, today's about Him. Today's about giving Him glory.
Amen.
And
Hallelujah.
I'm going to read so you guys can follow. In a time of war and turmoil, a company of soldiers overcame all obstacles and achieved the impossible. How did they do it? Was it their skills and tactics? Was it pure luck or chance? Not by strength or by might, but by my spirit. These soldiers, they were.
Gracias, Señor.
This title, that's what I've titled the presentation, Covered by Grace. Covered meaning what soldiers do when you take fire, when you're ambushed by the enemy. You want to see cover. cover and concealment. And because it wasn't up to us or our skills, because it was God, then I say covered by grace. 'Cause I wouldn't have made it out of there if it wasn't for Him. Right now I'm going to go into the presentation. I'm going to explain everything you saw step by step. Just going to let you know what I experienced is pretty much everything I've seen and I experienced myself. There are 2 incidents at the end that happened to other soldiers. I want just to let you guys know that it wasn't just me being protected, it was the entire company. So, like I said, that's what they told us when we were sitting down. We're not all coming back. And so I said goodbye to my wife, and honestly, I didn't know if I was going to see her again, but I was just expecting the worst in my mind, because that's what you do. You prepare yourself for the worst, you hope for the best. That's just military mentality. We boarded up on a private plane from Fort Hood, Texas, just regular commercial airline. I said this one had a bunch of weapons inside. Instead of you putting your luggage underneath your carry-on underneath your seat, you had your M4, your rifle posted up next to you and all your weapons. And it was the entire company flying together. We landed in Kuwait. In Kuwait, they gave us additional stuff, ammunition, grenades, flashbangs, all kinds of additional supporting things that we didn't have, that they were already there in Kuwait. Once we got geared up and we got boarded up, we loaded into the C-130, which is that plane you see up there. It's not a very comfortable ride, I'll tell you that. I'd rather have flown American Airlines or something like that all the way over there, but that wasn't what they chose. So we had cargo nets for seats, and we sat on top of our duffel bags and made it as comfortable as we could. That's what you see here. It is hard to make out. We use red lighting, it's tactical light, basically light sensitivity. You don't use bright lights in combat. It's all red or green or amber. And then over here we see the C-130 flying in. That's us going to Iraq from Kuwait. Again, we were expecting the worst, but it's like in flight. We were. I'm not gonna say attacked, but the pilots, they saw some kind of radar hit or ping that let them know we better take evasive maneuvers just in case they're launching a surface-to-air missile. So I remember sitting there in a long flight, all uncomfortable. Next thing you know, pilot saying, "Brace yourself, evasive maneuver." The plane tilts. And as the plane tilts, everything's shifting, and I just hear these like rattling noises. I didn't know what they were. I've never experienced anything like this. Remember, I'd never been in combat. All I heard was just a bunch of rattling noise, and later on they told me that was an evasive maneuver. They got some kind of heat signature, and they deployed flares, which is what you see there. Flares, they burn at really high intensity to ward off any heat signatures that are tracking the plane. At that moment, you can imagine what I was feeling. I said, we haven't even landed yet, and already, this is happening. Is this it already? So very, very stressful. It's like, we land, and my sergeant and I, we sit down at a table trying to get something to eat. I was starving, been a long flight, pulled out my MRE, which is a meal ready to eat. It basically comes in a little package, and you eat it right there on the spot. Something you can easily slip into your pockets and go about. And I started hearing these explosions. And my sergeant said, "Hey, don't worry, that's just the welcoming part. The enemy knows we're here. This is just a celebration for us." And they just kept landing and blowing up and blowing up. Some of them would walk in, sound a little closer. I just kept hearing these booms, and he saw my face, and I was just startled when I heard a really loud one. And I saw people running inside coverings, inside tents, and not all were running, just some stayed, like my sergeant. So I decided to stay. I said, "Hey, if he's staying, he had been in combat before, I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna trust him." So I sat down at the table and I hear one, my eyes open up, he starts laughing, he's just laughing at me as hard as he can. He said, "You should see your face right now. Don't worry, that was outbound." Outbound meaning we fired back at them. So we tracked down where they're firing from, and we fired back. So at that point, I was a little bit more relaxed, more at ease. And then we heard something that he wasn't laughing at and that I wasn't laughing at, and it shook. We felt it here on our chest. It was such a loud explosion, and all we hear is people running, and soldiers grabbing their gear, and sergeants yelling for directions. Right, let's go, form up, let's go. So as the soldiers are running, I gather my things, I run, and they line us up in a formation. And that's what we could see over the wall of the airport. It was a giant mushroom cloud, unlike anything I've ever seen. And they said that was a vehicle explosion. So basically the enemy packs the vehicles full of explosives and they set it off. And they're powerful enough sometimes to take out city blocks. So this thing went off in the middle of the city. We're formed up in formation and my sergeant says, you see that? That's where we're going. That's where we're going right there. We know exactly where our direction is. The enemy knows where we're going. That's where we're going. We can't wait for support. We can't wait for additional trucks. We have to get going. Take all your bags, load them up in these trucks. And I saw the trucks were not armored. They didn't have turrets. They had nothing. We literally took our bags, put them in the back of the, what they call LMTVs, and we laid down on top of our bags. And they said, we can't wait for support. We got to go now. So we loaded up all our weapons, lined up in the back of the trucks, and on top of the trucks, we rolled through the town. And instead of taking the main route we were planning on taking, we went through back streets to try and catch the enemy off guard. So here we are laying down. It's very uncomfortable to aim up. All you have is high buildings and rooftops and people everywhere, not all happy to see you. And you know, we had kids waving, we had people just staring at us, and we were all on super high alert, aiming up, trying to see if we're going to get attacked and how we're going to get out of this, because like I said, the trucks are not armored, we're just on top of bags. Very terrifying moment, and I thank God that I made it. Once we saw those gates to the base, I was extremely relieved. You just felt the weight come off your shoulders, and we all made it inside the barracks. And once inside the barracks, we could see what our rooms look like, which I'll show you now. Top right corner, left corner there is showing the room. It's very small, bunk beds, 4 people to a room. They took the window, they boarded it up, and on the outside of the window they had sandbags stacked up all the way from the bottom of the window to the top to protect from shrapnel and explosions. The wooden boards to keep the glass from going in the room. The only window we had to look at was the window on the door, which you could barely see. It's a green door. And that's the only little window that they left us so we could see what's going on. But other than that, we were blessed to just have a roof over our heads and a barracks that used to belong to Iraqi soldiers that we could call a home. Many soldiers in other branches don't have that luxury. They actually live out in the dirt and they have tents at best. Trying to sleep, it was very difficult. You just keep hearing those explosions. Those explosions didn't stop. At first when I walked in, I was like, why so many sandbags? Why so much boarding up and protection in the rooms? And I realized, you know, the first day I was there, my gosh, do these boarders ever stop coming? Is this what it's going to be like all year long? How am I going to get out of this? The explosions just keep on going. Sometimes they walk them in. You hear them getting smaller to louder, and then they stop. One explosion was extremely loud, must have hit very near because everybody got woken up and told to form up outside the rooms. This is what we call accountability formation. Basically, sergeants and up have to get eyes on every soldier and do a head count every time there's a loud explosion to make sure that one of us didn't get killed. So this happened frequently, and it got to the point where they stopped doing accountability formations. There was no longer accountability formation. All they did was, hey, are you up? Yeah, I'm up. I mean, yeah, I went in the room, I peeked in, I got them, everybody's good. Because it was, like I said, such a frequent basis. Go ahead. We got additional equipment, we got our weapons, they issued us trucks, Humvees. These trucks over here that you see are not armored very well, they're not the better version. We got what we could at the time. We were lacking supplies. As you can see, the gunner doesn't even have a turret, so there is no turret shield protecting you. All there is the cutout on the roof of the Humvee, with something to assist you move your weapon, rotate your weapon left and right. So there is absolutely no protection for the gunners. That's how we rolled in and out of missions for the first 3 months, going out of the base. The only thing that I had was that little panel that pretty much holds the weapon in place. It was about that thick and round, and I would make sure I keep that centered in my heart and just spin my turret left and right to make sure if I get engaged, at least my shoulders would get hit, but my heart would be protected by that panel. And that's where the whole handkerchief story came along, that you find things to let your mind be at ease about what you're experiencing, otherwise you go crazy. This scene down here is with the gate finally opening up. The gate finally opening up, I'm telling you, that was the first time right there that I saw that I was going into combat. Because I was in the barracks doing things, gathering things, but this is our first mission, and I can't describe to you the feeling of that gate opening up, where you see the outside, nothing's protecting you. That's it. You're in combat. The gate is open. You're leaving for your mission. You won't come back till nighttime. It's terrifying. That's why I wanted to illustrate it for you, so you can see that once that gate opened, it's all. If you're a soldier and non-believer, it's all on you and your skills and tactics. And if you're a believer, it's all about God keeping you safe, bringing you home. Next slide. Outside, it was trash everywhere on the roads, and anything could be an explosive. Anything from as big as a box to as small as a soda can can be packed with explosives. These guys are experts at that. They can bury things overnight. They have triggers, many different kinds of triggers for these explosives. Your cell phone, trip wires. So there's all kinds of triggers to set these things off, and you never know when you're passing trash if it's going to be the last pile of trash you pass by, right? So we have convoys. We always rolled out in threes, and every time we came up an overpass, which roads were full of overpasses, every time we came up an overpass, we were supposed to scan the overpass and make sure nobody's on there trying to throw things down. They didn't only throw hand grenades right in the turret holes. And then when you're going underneath, you're supposed to duck, get down, because you never know if they have some kind of wire hanging from one side to the other, or if they have some kind of explosive there for you. And then when you come out of the other side of the bridge, you do one quick back scan to make sure the team that's going under the bridge is safe, and then you go back to your sector. And this was routine every single time. Every time you come to an overpass, I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds of overpasses I passed over there. And every single time, I never changed my tactics. Over here, we have debris. Basically, we see fuselages of vehicles, Humvees, that were already destroyed by whatever on that same road that you're going by day in and day out. One time, we rolled up on a crater on the road that covered almost 2 lanes of traffic. We had to veer around. As you're veering around, you see other debris or something else, and you got to get close to that so that you can get around it. So very tense. Just getting from point A to point B was a challenge, and I just thank God that He was watching over me. Over here, you see additional vehicles that we were issued, up armored. We finally got them. The whole first 3 months we were doing the training, I was rolling on those vehicles with no protection, and God blessed our unit with up armored vehicles. One called the Guardian, which is the large one you see there, which was a test vehicle at the time. It was new and they were experimenting. So I remember receiving training before I went. And now we were up armored. It kind of gives you a false sense of security, because we know that tanks get destroyed by these explosives on the side of the road. So we know, as a soldier, it's not really much protection, but you kind of get a sense that you're better protected, you're better covered. So we embarked on our first mission, and I remember we were coming back from a mission. I don't remember exactly what the mission details were, but one of our vehicles had become disabled, and we had to tow it with the Guardian. We had to tow it with the vehicle, and I was the gunner inside of that Guardian. We were traveling, and it was a long route. We hadn't been attacked yet, mind you. This was the first time we actually got attacked. And I just remember through my helmet hearing some rattling noises. It sounded like gunfire. By the time I'm trying to figure out if it is gunfire, the radio breaks, and I hear one of the gunners that was in the rear yelling, contact right, we're getting hit. At that point, I immediately turned my turret and fired. I didn't know this at the time, but the rear gunner was all alone by himself, outnumbered 3-1, and he had been firing by himself because the gunner we were towing got stuck in a sling. That's what you see in the middle. He could not return fire at that time. He just was totally wrapped up in his sling, could not open fire. So I didn't know this at the time. Again, I just reacted as quickly as I could and fired back. We were going through the city in the daytime for another mission, and again, same thing. We were, as soon as the vehicle in front passes another vehicle, they started firing, and I'd see the gunner got down, and that was confirmation that yes, he is receiving fire. At that point, I knew that as soon as I passed that building, that they were going to open up fire on me. And sure enough, as soon as I hit the light, hit the sunlight, and I know that the enemy can see me, they started firing. I just remember ripping the gun pretty much out of that panel and turning back as quick as I could and firing back just to protect the truck that's coming, because this guy's picking us off one by one. He's only going to get better as each truck passes. So I just stayed there, firing back, and I thank God that nothing happened to me. We were going through tall buildings in the city with the Guardian, and somebody in the crowd had thrown 2 hand grenades in a very quick succession. These hand grenades went underneath the ASV, which is the Guardian. They went right underneath my vehicle, and they did not explode. It was obvious that he was aiming for my vehicle. There were 3 vehicles to choose from, and the hand grenades went right underneath mine. He wanted, I guess, to take out the biggest threat. And again, the hand grenades went underneath my truck. They did not explode underneath my truck. They actually ended up exploding to my rear left. And I remember the jolt of that explosion because I was upright, looking up at the rooftop, so I didn't want to get shot from up top. We were very vulnerable. It was tight in the corner. There were people in the streets, just lining the streets. And the first explosion rocked my vehicle. At that point, I turned left to see what was the explosion. It was a vehicle explosion or an IED or something else. As I turned, I never forget this, and that's why I illustrated it. I saw the second explosion go off. Remember, I turned my turret on the first explosion, and as I got fixated on the rear left corner, I saw the explosion go off. At the same time, I saw a mother carrying a child.
Oh my God.
She wasn't hurt. That stayed with me. She just kept running as if she was never injured. I don't know if she got injured. I just saw her move and hold the child and protect that child. I think I witnessed a miracle, if you ask me. Those things have a kill radius. And the kill radius, pretty much everybody in here, he trouble the majority of the first couple bucks, that's one dead. And she just ran right past it. It's like, so after I experienced contact, what we call it, is actually the enemy trying to kill you, I say, God, I'm not going to make it out of here. Nothing I can do. No training. No tactic. There's nothing you can do to protect yourself. When it's your time to go, you got to go. I said, Lord, I surrender. Everything my grandfather had, since I was a little kid, everything he had preached about, my grandfather was a preacher, came back to me. Said, no te avergüences del evangelio, que yo no me avergüenzo. I put my hands on that turret. Go back to the turret. I put my hands on it, and I actually prayed before leaving the base. I said, God, I'm not going to make it out of here. The only one keeping me alive is you. I surrender. I can't do this. you're the one who's gonna have to take us out of here and bring us home. And I prayed. I actually bowed down and put my head while everybody's locking and loading their guns and getting ready, and the gate's about to open. I'm praying in my turret. And as I look up, I look at the rear gunner, and he gives me a signal. I'm praying too. So we were in unison praying. How many of you know that when two or more are gathered in His name, He is there?
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
So that was a defining moment. Right? We were coming up against another overpass, same routine, except this time there was somebody running from one end of the overpass all the way across to the other. And I found it very, very odd that he was doing that, moving in a haste, as if he knew something was about to happen. That caught my eye, so I kept my muzzle on this individual. Don't know, again, if he had anything to do with it, but it just caught my eye. And as he's running across, I keep him in my crosshairs. Nothing in his hands, he's just running from one end to the other in a full sprint. Everybody else seems to be unaware. There are other people. As soon as I go underneath the overpass, I get down, I duck, like always. As I'm about to come up to make sure it's clear, I couldn't even turn around. It was an explosion so big, so strong, that it kept me from turning around. That the concussion just hit me. When I turn around, this is all I see. And I was the first truck through. There were two guys behind me, two of my friends. They didn't make it. They didn't come across. We were flying. I don't know how this guy timed the explosive so that. We were flying. We come to a screeching halt. My sergeant's screaming at me. He's yelling, "Do you see them? Do you see them? You got your eyes on the trigger man. Do you see the trigger man?" I said, "Sergeant, I don't see the trigger man." It was a crowd. He snuck through. Check for secondaries. I'm looking around the vehicle, making sure there's no other explosives around. He's like, "Do you see them yet? Do you see them yet?" "No, Sergeant, I don't see them. I don't see them." And I felt this explosion, and I saw the effects of it. And I'm telling you, in my mind, they were gone. They didn't make it. It's impossible for anyone to get through that. And I start praying in my mind. I just kept saying, "Lord, please, God, please." Desperate, just desperate. But I knew there was a church that was praying. I knew there was a church with my family and my friends and people who didn't know me and strangers that formed a chain. They just kept telling me, "There's a huge chain praying for you." And I knew they were claiming out to God, saying, "Father, cover him with your angels. Cover him." And God heard their prayers. And He not only covered me, He covered my crew. So that's what I saw next. I said, "Lord, thank you, Father. Sergeant, we're up. I see them. The next truck, the same way, just came through them. They had damage, and the damage was evident, but they came through. They rolled out of there. We were thinking we were going to have to come back and push them through. And I didn't know what I was going to find. As soon as we got to where we were going, we inspected the vehicle damage, and we saw that the turret had a huge indentation on it, where had that shield not been there, the gunner definitely wouldn't have been there. He still ended up suffering a little bit on his face from minor shrapnel. And we saw that the front end of the Humvee had gotten shrapnel all the way from one side through the engine block, which this engine is huge, out the other side, clean through, and it was causing the vehicle to smoke. So all these pepper hits that hit went through the vehicle. The glass where the driver's head was, it stopped. Nothing went through where their head was or where their feet were or anything.
Thank you, Lord.
Everything was around them. I questioned this driver, close friend of mine now. I said, "Hey, you remember that IP explosion?" "Oh, yeah." I forget. He said, it was as if Captain America squatted down with his shield and covered them. He said the explosion didn't even seem that big. They thought it missed them at first.
Wow.
I was picking up trash on a rooftop of the prison that I was protecting. Is one of our missions is to protect Iraqi police station with prisoners in it, in Abu Ghraib. And across the street was this big, huge building with prior damage. And prior damage over there means they've been engaged before from that situation. You know, all the windows are busted out. And there's obviously the damage was caused by rounds and activity. And a lot of times these individuals go back to the same location thinking that it's not a big deal and it's already passed, so they're not going to be looking in here. So we always kept an eye out looking at that building. And nothing ever happened until my sergeant gives me an order and he says, hey, I want you to go up to the rooftop. The colonel's coming and we got all these bottles and trash all over the roof that they can see from the tower. I'm going to need you to go out there on the roof and pick up the trash. And as a soldier taking orders, you don't argue no matter how dangerous, you just do. I grabbed the bag, big old garbage bag. I climbed up on the roof from the tower. You can actually jump down onto the roof. I'm kind of located, this scene is kind of located right up here, that smaller lower roof. So you can see how you can jump down from the tower and pick up what you need. And I was picking up trash, and at one point I just got very, very exhausted. Stood myself up, stood still for a little bit because I was constantly moving back and forth picking things up. And at that moment, I just heard it. It just went right by my head. It was one single shot, really loud. It just whizzed by. I heard the whiz, the zip, and then I heard the bang. And I look at my tower gunner who's guarding me, and she said, I didn't see it. I don't know where it's coming from. Get off the roof. At that point, I just throw my bag over the roof, and I laid down and kind of rolled off the edge, not knowing if I was going to break a leg because you got all this heavy equipment on. I just remember hitting the ground and collapsing and rolling, and I didn't break anything. I managed to run back around inside, and that was one of the times where I know God was there. I know God was there. He let me see. I'm with Him.
Hallelujah.
I was in a courthouse where we were bringing prisoners to their trial so they can be tried. This is a very dangerous mission because the enemy knows where you pick up detainees and what your route is to get to the courthouse. In fact, that IED that explosion under the bridge, that was en route from picking up prisoners to the courthouse. So a very dangerous mission just getting to. Once we're at the courthouse, then we all line all the detainees or prisoners of war in a room, and it's always the same room. And we were just relaxing before their trial. I was eating pizza. I was just very relaxed. And they said, hey, let's get some more pizza. I said, sure, no problem. Where's it at? They're like, oh, it's in the truck outside. Oh, okay, great. I'll be right back. Left my weapon, left my helmet on the floor. I'm walking out of the room. One of my buddies says, hey, don't you need your helmet? I said, no, the truck is right outside. I'll be right back. So I walk out. Right when I'm walking out of the front double doors, I hadn't even reached the stairs of the courthouse. All you hear is a zzz, and that's about as quick as it was. It was a huge explosion, went off to my left. I felt the sand and dust particles slap my leg, through my pant leg. I was startled and instantly relieved that I still had my limbs when I looked down. It was that close. And I right away, I was worried because I had just left the room where it hit. So I'm running back over to the room, and I see the guys, and they were standing next to the glass, which was everywhere, and they were not hurt. The damage to the room was just all the glass on the floor, that's it. They were fine. Nobody had received any shrapnel from that rocket attack. I still don't even know how that happened.
Praise you, Lord.
Thank you, Jesus.
And we were one of the missions where we did not have the luxury of barracks now. Now we were in tents. And I remember sleeping, and it was very hot. This was a camp that was heavily wooded, and it had a lot of tents for soldiers. These tents were pretty big. They fit, I'm not sure how many, I don't say 20 or 30 people inside. They were just pretty big tents, probably from here to there, probably about as big as this. And they had bunk beds stacked up. And I chose the top bunk. I don't know why I like the top bunk. I got on the top bunk, and everything's peachy, and I have the tent right up here, much closer than the ceiling is to me. And as you know, a tent is made of fabric. I mean, a rock can go through it if it's fast enough, right? I start hearing explosions from a distance. Boom, boom, boom. They start getting closer, louder and louder. Boom, boom. I open my eye, I go, this is it. I chose the top bunk. This is it. And next thing you know, they get so close that you start hearing the dirt and debris falling over the tent. And I said, one more is all it takes. And it never came. It was a perfect walkthrough all the way up to where they needed to hit, and he stopped. Go ahead, call it coincidence if you want. Next slide. I was in the phone center talking to my wife, and these are very, very cherished moments. You don't get a lot of these back then. You didn't have a lot of internet and face-to-face and all that stuff that you have now. So every time we went to the phone center, it was a blessing to talk to my wife. Other than that, we were speaking in letters. I was speaking to her, and next thing you know, I start hearing rockets coming in, and explosions. Boom, boom, boom. Wait, do I tell her? Do I tell her what's going on? And next thing you know, I hear like rumbling, like the building is falling down. just a big, huge rumble. I said, oh my God, it's a direct hit. And when I turn around, I see a sergeant kneeling on the ground, yelling at me, screaming at the top of his lungs, put your helmet on, get on the ground now! I said, baby, I'm getting hit, I gotta go. Threw the phone down, grabbed my helmet, and I realized that all that rumbling was all the soldiers pushing their chairs back and getting underneath their desks, and I was the only one sitting down talking to my wife, like, it's cool. And I squatted down, and the rockets just kept coming, boom, boom, really loud. Finally, they stopped for a little bit, and a couple of the guys look at each other and like, okay, is it safe now? Is it safe? We good? Okay, we're gonna make a run for it. Okay, I'm with you. There was about 4, 5, 6 of us. Like, all right, we're making a run for it. Okay, we open the door, and as soon as we go outside, we see the streaks of the smoke right in front of the phone center that had just gone by. And you could smell it in the air. It's not like any firework you've ever smelled, let me tell you. And you could see exactly the direction they were traveling. And we just ran through the smoke and ran to our barracks. It's just quite a big distance. I just kept saying, God, protect us as we get there. Protect us as we get there. Because now we don't have a phone center with big walls to protect us. Now we're exposed. We don't know if they're going to attack again. The direct target was the phone center. All the rockets missed. The rumbling and all the noise we've heard was debris from the barriers that were protecting the phone center falling on the phone center. So nobody was killed or injured. And this here is the most defining moment. This is the moment where if you had any doubts in your mind that God is with you, they're gone. You automatically know God was with you. I was looking out the window, the only window we had in my room. Very small window, just about as big as my face. I had my face pressed up right on it. I'm like, oh man, what a beautiful morning. I hadn't even put my uniform on, no vest. My boots were untied. I didn't have a helmet on, no weapon. I just got out of bed. I'm just looking out the window saying, wow, what a beautiful morning. Little did I know that a mortar had already been launched from its source to the destination, which was my barracks, and I had no idea. I'm looking there, and the mortar travels, and then it goes up, and then it goes down. And it was already coming as I'm looking out the window, and something just hit me. Said, hey, it's time to tie your boots. Simple as that. The simplest thought to just make me say, enough looking at the window. It's time to tie your boots. As soon as I bent down, I didn't even get to sit down. The momentum of me squatting down was just enough for my head to lower past the window at the point of impact.
Wow, that's amazing.
Praise God.
Sounds really amazing.
I rolled over the chair backwards outside the room and kept that same momentum, just falling backwards. All the debris went over my head, and I'm telling you, it was impeccable timing. Next slide.
Wow.
This here happened to somebody attached to my company, and he was walking one night, and as he's walking past the shed was made of tin. It was kind of like the Iraqis sold leather from it, that type of deal. It was inside the base. So he's walking back after eating chow, and it comes through and it lands. It hits the shed. This mortar hits the shed, goes through the shed, lands at his feet, and does not explode. Right in his path of travel. This mortar has a kill radius. A kill radius is like 15 meters. He's standing right in front of it. It hit the dirt. He's looking down at it, and it never went off. And he's just standing there.
Oh, wow.
If that doesn't change your life, I don't know what will.
Hallelujah. Sí, Señor.
A convoy of my friends were traveling down the road for a mission, and they were attacked that day by what we call a rocket-propelled grenade. known as a bazooka pretty much. Inserted, launches this shot. Let me tell you, he must have been an expert. This shot was straight to the convoy as they were moving, and our company always moved very fast. The RPG all of a sudden hits a guardrail, and it's supposed to detonate. And no matter what hits, that head of that explosive detonates on impact, right? It impacted the guardrail right next to the trucks and didn't explode. If it had exploded, the shrapnel would have still penetrated through and still caused damage. Instead, it gets cut in half to the point where it's separated perfectly, the rear part of the rocket to the explosive head. The explosive head stays at the guardrail. The only thing that penetrates through the truck is the rear projectile, and it went in the trunk where nobody's sitting. And it got stuck in the spare tire. They opened up the trunk, they pulled this piece out, and it was just all mangled and destroyed. I held it in my hands, I looked at this. And it was a miracle. It was a miracle. How does a guardrail snap a rocket exactly to the point where it needs to be cut so that it doesn't explode, and then the only thing that hits your truck, it's just a propeller. It still felt like an explosion to them. There's no doubt about that. But nobody was killed. Nobody was.
Wow.
So these are all things that I put together. It's undeniable. For me, it's undeniable. God was there. God was with us. God watched over us. You can call it coincidence all you want. When you're a Christian, you're a believer, there's no coincidences, only divine purpose. Okay? And it's been a conviction of mine to show this and speak about it. And so right now, I'm prepared. I'm going to leave you with a short video, and it's going to illustrate how in my mind I see God's hand moving. Okay, I did not see any angels while I was over there. I want to make that clear. And we can't give glory to angels because they don't even move unless the Almighty says,
That's right.
go. Okay, so the glory is to God. This is just my illustration of what I believe, how God's hand was moving and protecting us. I just have a word.
Sling and stone, but the heart of a lion dared to go. To hear the sound of the cynic crow die out with the sound of the giant's fall. I dare to believe in incredible things. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Here I am, Lord. Bones and a thirsty soul, dreaming for more than the life I know. Till I tasted a burning cold, and my guilt was erased, my sin was atoned. I dare to believe in incredible things. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Here I am, Lord, send me. I won't look back, 'cause I was made to be a part of the You're the God of the impossible. I dare to believe in incredible things. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Here I am, Lord, send me. I won't look back, 'cause I was made to be a part of the impossible. You gotta be impossible. Here I am, Lord, send me. I won't back down, 'cause I believe you are the God of the impossible. Here I am, send me. Send me. Send me. Life gets tough, and times get hard, and it's hard to find the truth in all the lies. If you're tired of wondering why your heart isn't healing, and nothing feels like home 'cause you're lost and alone, just screaming at the sky. When you don't know what to say, just say Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus. If the words won't come 'cause you're too afraid to pray, just say Jesus. Whisper it now, or shout it out. However it goes down, He hears your cry. Out of nowhere He will come. You gotta believe it. He will rescue you. Just call out to the way, the truth, the light. When you don't know what to say, just say Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus. If the words won't come 'cause you're too afraid to pray, there is just one name strong enough to save. There is just one name. There is just one name. Jesus. When you don't know what to say, just say Jesus. There's still power in the name of Jesus. If the words won't come 'cause you're too afraid to pray, if the words won't come and you don't know what to say, just say Jesus.
Thank you. I just want to thank
Pastor for giving me this opportunity to come over here and give glory to God. Thank my family for all their support. It's been a long time, hard hours, lost hours of sleep. Again, I'm just very, very grateful. Thank you. God bless you. The whole company back alive. In front of the whole formation, when we all got back, and he said, these brave men and women were in harm's way every single day. The fact that they all made it back alive is nothing short of a miracle.
You've heard me say so many times that so many prayers, a hedge of protection. I believe in a hedge of protection.
Amén.
I really do. La cobertura. La cobertura de Dios. It's something more powerful than we can ever imagine. Sometimes we undermine it by the hedge of protection. You know, the word of God says his angels, he will send his angels to protect you. Even Satan knew that when he defied Jesus. He says, for he will send his angels to protect you that your feet will not hit no stones. And I know that what Marlon has gone through in his life, it's not children and miracles, it's just his angels that he has sent over to protect him, be there. And we know that when you say yes to God, man, the enemy will try to come against you and destroy you. But greater is he that is in you than that is in the world. And this is just a very powerful testimony for other people to hear. I know it has been my faith as well as yours.
Aleluya.
Este testimonio tiene que ser oído. Yo voy a hablar con mis amigos, el presbítero de la sección, los amigos, los pastores. Our young people need to know this. You know, our young people need to know that there is a God. He is an almighty, not just something that we read about, but he's so alive and well in our lives. People, and he loves us, and he cares for us. Amen. So I know that there's great things, you know, there's this, like Arnold said, this is not a coincidence, it's not an accident. This is just purely the hand of God. And out of this whole thing, something great God is going to do in your life,
Aleluya,
your
sí, Señor.
spouse.
Amén.
And God is going to use your testimony to speak to other young people. All the individuals are going to go through the same thing. I was praying during this heart of the conflict during 2004, 2000. It was the most tumultuous times for the U.S. military in this conflict. He was in the heart of that conflict. It was the most difficult time. ¿Qué quiere decir esto? Que la mano de Dios no puede alcanzar. He was searching for people. And sometimes you may think that you may turn your back on God. But God will relentlessly seek you. And even though the enemy will try to kill you and destroy you, he will be relentless seeking out to you.